Hello everybody, welcome to my channel Chapter Chat, and today we are going to read a beautiful poem, My Mother at 66 by Kamala Das. So those who are new to my channel and those who are watching the video, please do subscribe my channel. So Kamala Das was born on 31st March 1934 and she died on 31st May 2009. Her pen name is Madhavi Kutti. So this particular poem, My Mother at 66, is a very emotional poem where the poet discusses the feelings regarding her mother. That her mother is very old now, she is 66 years old, and she is very old and she can't take care of herself, and and now she's old and she can die anytime, and the feeling of losing her mother, that her mother may die, this feeling has made the poet very sad, and she's not in a good mood, and regarding all these things she is discussing in the poem. So let's start the poem now. Driving from my parents' home to coaching last Friday morning. So the poet, she was driving from her parents' home to coaching airport. So maybe the poet, she had come to her mother's place to visit her mother, her parents, and and during that time, last Friday, she was going back to coaching airport, and during that time she realized that her mother is very old now and how she is looking. I saw my mother beside me, doors open mouthed. So when the poet's mother, she was sitting beside her in the car, and the poet's mother, her mouth were open and she was dozing. Doze means she was asleep. She was asleep in the car and her mouths were open. As you know, old people while traveling in the car or bus, these old people, everybody, they feel sleepy and they sleep. So her mother also, she was asleep in the car. That her face ashen like that of a corpse, and realized and with pain. So her mother, her face had ashen like that of a corpse. Why she's telling that? Because corpse, dead bodies, their face, dead bodies, the people who are dead, their face don't have any charm. They look so dull. So the poet is telling, my mother's face was looking dull like that of a corpse, as if she had no charm, no beauty, no grace. Obviously her mother is very old now, she's 66 years old, and she's very tired, and that is why she's not energetic like as she used to be before, and that is why she's looking very dull and tired, that of a corpse, and realized with pain, and she was as old as she looked, but soon put that thought away. So the poet now, she saw that her mother is very old, and she, just to avoid that thought, my mother is very old, my mother may die anytime, my mother, all these thoughts came to her mind, but the poet, she want to take out these thoughts from her mind, because she was scared. She was scared from the very thought that her mother may die. So anyhow, she wanted to put a full stop on these thoughts from her mind. वो ये सब चीज़ों के बारे में और सोचना नहीं चाहती थी. Anyhow, she wanted to take out all these thoughts कि no, my mother is good, my mother is well, and she is in a good condition. Nothing will happen to my mother. She just comforted herself with all these feelings that no, my mother is very good, my mother is well, and nothing will happen to her. This is the common practice with all the people. If any negative thought that comes to my mind, that comes to the people of any people, they just want to put a full stop to all the negative thoughts and they start thinking positive. So here also the poet, she put a full stop on her negative thoughts and she started thinking that no, my mother is very good, my mother is fine, and nothing will happen to my mother. And looked out at young trees sprinkling, and she just to divert her mind, in order to divert her mind, what she did, she started looking out of the window, and she saw that trees are passing by, and many trees are there, and the merry children spilling out of their homes. And when she was traveling on the road, she saw that small children are playing outside their house, and the children are enjoying in a very happy mood. So in order to make a distraction of her mind, she started looking out of the window. But after the airport security check, standing a few yards away, and finally she reached at the airport, and after the security checkings were done, all of the things were done, and she was standing a few yards away from her mother. The poet looked at her mother once again, and there, after the security checks were done, the poet, she was standing little bit far away from her mother, and she was looking at her mother, that will I be able to see my mother once again? These thoughts came to her mind, that can I see my mother once again? I hope my mother won't die. May my mother live for another 20 years, so that every time I want to see my mother. See, losing your mother is the worst feeling, is the worst, most hurtful thing that can happen to any person. So here the poet is also in a very sentimental mood. She is a very sad and gloomy mood, that God, please keep my mother healthy, so that every time I can see my mother. So this is the feeling of, basic feeling of every human being, that everybody wants their mother to be alive and happy, so that they can see their mother. So this feeling, this very feeling came for the poet also. She was also thinking that I hope my mother lives forever, and I hope to see her all the time. I looked her again at the wan, pale as a late winter moon, and felt that old familiar ache. So here the poet is saying that her mother's face was as looking as if like the winter moon. You see, during the winter season, the moon doesn't have any charm. It is like pale, and it doesn't have the shine. So here the poet is comparing the her mother's face to the winter season's moon, that like winter season the moon is very pale. So like here also my mother's face was looking very pale like the winter season. My childhood's fear, but all I said was, see you soon, Amma. So the poet always had a childhood fear. What was that fear that she was having? That she will lose her mother. That life and death are the two real things that can happen to any human being. When we are born, when God has given us a life, it is obvious that any day we have to die. All human beings, they will die any day. So here the poet, from her childhood, she had a feeling that she may lose her mother, and here also the same feeling is pinching her, that maybe her mother will die. But all I said was, see you soon, Amma. And that time, from a little far away, she said, see you soon, Amma. That again I will see you again, Mama. I will come back to you again, and I want to see you again. This is the thing that we all say when we are leaving our parents or our siblings or anybody. When we are telling them goodbye, we always say them, okay, see you again. So this is the thing that the poet also said to her mother, that see you again, Amma. And all did was smile and smile and smile. So, and again what she did, she smiled and smiled and smiled. The poet smiled at her mother, and she just smiled and smiled. So the poet here did not want to know her mother, the feeling. She did not want her mother to know that the poet is very sad by seeing the condition of her mother. If she will say to her mother that, mother, you are very old now, I am feeling very sad now, the mother will feel sad. She'll feel very sad. So all these things, all the emotional things, the poet did not share with her mother. She kept it inside her mind only. But inside her mind, she was very sad, and she was in a very sad mood, that her mother is very old now. So this is the end of the poem. And in this poem, there are simile used in this poem. That is, her face ashen like that of a corpse. Here a simile is used. That the face ashen like a corpse is a simile that the poet has used, and a late winter moon and felt like an old familiar ache. So this is basically the two similes that are used in the poem. So this is the end of the poem. I hope you liked the poem, and please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.